Good morning. It's Sunday the 23rd of June and we're on our way up to Mount Keing. Now Mount Keing is the most easterly of all the Munros in Scotland, and it's around about 10 miles all in hike to the mountain and back. Now I've done Mount Keing before and it's a lovely wee jaunt, lots of beautiful scenery to be seen as you walk past and head up the hills, or the mountain I should say, of Mount Keing itself. Now I believe this one, Mount Keing and the Keing mountain, which is Navy Moor, is the most perfect. If you're thinking about starting out on your Munro journey and you haven't done Munros before, and perhaps you're scared to dip your toe into the water of the Munros, I highly recommend Mount Keing or the Keing. Now the Keing, you more or less park up at the bottom of the mountain and then begin your ascent. But Mount Keing's slightly different, and there's many Munros like Mount Keing. Now Mount Keing, as I say, it's a 10-mile circular route, so it's a fair old walk or hike I should say before you actually start taking on the mountain itself. But don't be put off by that. Just take your time, one foot in front of the other, and slowly make your way up to Mount Keing. The views at the top, if they're clear, and today's supposed to be a beautiful day, will be more than worth it. Now, as I say, Mount Keing and the Keing, I think are best two to begin your Munro journey. So it's this way we're going. Come on. Now, one thing you'll find with Mount Keing and the path that you take to head up the mountain is that it's well pathed. Not every Munro can you be so lucky. I mean, this bit here is it's covered in boulders and such like, but for the main part, it's pathed the whole way up to the top of the mountain. And you do find that in many Munros, but many Munros you don't. They might start off nice and gentle, a nice wee path to follow, but quite often, before you know it, you're scrambling up the side of a cliff. Well, not the side of a cliff, the side of the mountain. Could be mud, could be streams to cross like this here, muddy areas, scree, all kinds. But Mount Keing, like I say, is well pathed, and you really don't have to worry much about any of that. It's not that I'm saying it's an easy climb, although I personally think it is, but then I've done many Munros. But for the person who's not quite used to hiking up mountains and using those muscles that you don't use in everyday life, you might find it a bit of a jaunt for you, quite hard. You're likely to be blown out your arse as well, especially if you're not used to it. I mean, even myself, I've done many Munros, and when you start to do the incline of a mountain, it's like your lungs are burning to start. Before you know it, you acclimatise and you're up there like a billy goat. But at least I find that to be the case. There's always a point where you're totally blown out your arse. Recover, get your breath back, then on you go. There's nothing better. It's no bad, is it? Beautiful, and there's so much wildlife here as well. You've got the river over there. Beautiful. There's a wee sheepies over there. That's the thing to be aware of as well. If you're bringing your dogs, many Munros are used as farmland or for the grazing of sheep and their lambs. And so, as a result, if you come between, I think it's April and June, this is the site you're likely to see, and you must have your dogs on the lead. I mean, your dog might not even bother the sheep, but if the farmer sees it, he will not be happy. Keep your dogs on the lead. And if you're lucky enough, well, you will be lucky enough, it's a fair old stretch, this walk. You'll find areas where there's absolutely no sheep at all, and you can let your dogs off. But yeah, be aware. In fact, it's written on the gates. You'll see signs that say, you know, sheep grazing, lambing. Be sure and have your dogs in the lead. The farmer will not be happy with you. And it's only right that you keep your dogs in the lead, because the sheep can so easily be scared, and the lambs. And as I understand that lambs are prone to just dropping dead with the fright. And do you really want that in your conscience? Absolutely not. I'm not lecturing you, I'm just saying that it's something you might not think about, but it is important. Look at that. All you need there's a stag standing there, and it's Scotland in a nutshell, innit? Now, if you're new to doing Munros, you might be wondering, what should I bring? And that question is very important. To me, the most important things you must take with you, even on a day like this, right, is your backpack. Now, in that backpack, you want to make sure you've got decent waterproofs. Today is supposed to be glorious, okay? But see, at the top of mountains, Munros, the weather can change just like that. I mean, it can be completely... I've seen myself... I did Schiehallion a few years ago, and the weather was glorious all the way up, and then it was descended into mist, and then into rain. Put your waterproofs on. If you get wet and then cold and there's a wind blowing on a Munro, and keep in mind, you could be a mile, 2 miles, 5 miles out from civilization, and you get cold. Cold and wet, for that matter. If you get cold and wet, hypothermia can come in so fast. I talked about it in another video, Mount Keing, how I got caught out and I thought I had decent waterproofs. I just didn't. I got soaked through. I had to get down the mountain really fast. And I was lucky I wasn't too far into that journey. But I got dizzy. My mind started to go a little bit funny. You know, I started getting a little bit confused. And it wasn't maybe half an hour down the mountain to get back down the mountain out of the weather. But I was soaked through. I was freezing, and I was really starting to struggle. So really take that seriously. Just because it's a beautiful day at the bottom of the mountain, and there's every chance today is going to be beautiful at the top of the mountain, but if the rain comes in and you're in the middle of nowhere and you get soaked and it's cold, you will be in trouble, because there's nowhere to hide and there's absolutely nowhere to get cover. Generally there's nowhere, in fact there is nowhere to get cover. So take waterproofs. No matter how the weather is, take waterproofs. It's really important. The other thing you would take is layers. Now you'll see I'm just wearing a t-shirt just now. I've got my hiking boots, and I've got my walking trousers, I've got my hiking poles, and in my bag, apart from the waterproofs, I have a spare thin windproof jacket, I have a spare t-shirt, I've not brought gloves or hats, not in June. I think we're going to be fine on that front. But in the winter months you would be taking a hat and you would be taking gloves, preferably once again waterproof. Now the other thing that's important is your water, lots of water and fluids, food, because you burn a lot of calories on a hike, and there probably will come a point where you'll hit the wall and you'll be like, I'm starving, I'm hungry, and make sure you got some decent food with you. And a Mars bar, and that's okay, but I mean decent food. You have some, salad and some protein source of some kind, nice sandwiches, some fruit, wee bag of crisps or something like that, just for a bit of fun, a bit of flavour at the top of the mountain. But make sure you've got plenty of energy food. But I quite often make flapjacks. I love flapjacks. Slow burning carbohydrates, keep you going on long hikes. So you've got your waterproofs, you've got your jackets, you've got your extra layers, you've got your walking poles. I'll talk about that later on. The importance of walking poles, or what I see is the importance of walking poles. You've got your water and you've got your food. Now the other thing you really need to consider is a compass, a map. But what I use mostly is an app called, God, I've completely forgotten the name of it. All Trails, the All Trails app. Now, I'm not selling anything, I'm just recommending. On this app, you can download the maps that you're going to, the hikes and trails you're going to be going on. And the beauty of it is, because obviously in the mountains you often lose your signal, okay? But the way this works is you can download the map. So even in real time when you're walking across the landscape, even if you're not connected to the satellites for your phone or whatever, or not the satellites, well, whatever, but the connection to the phone goes out, okay? The all trails will still keep you on the correct trail as if you are following it on satellite. So I highly recommend the All Trails app when you're doing hikes and stuff like that. But certainly a compass and a map. I mean, I don't need it for this mountain because I've done this many times. I've done it once before, I should say. So I know this trail inside out. And I say it is one of the easier trails to do. So, but yeah, keep that in mind. And also, equally important is let somebody know where you are. If you're going to go out in the Munro yourself, or even with somebody else, make sure you tell somebody at home or a friend that, you know, I'm going to go and do, say, Mount Keing. I'm leaving at this time. I'm expected back at this time, and I'm going to contact you. Let them know you're going to contact them. Let them know that you're safe and you're back at your car. And if you don't come back for a certain time, they can contact the authorities and, you know, let them know that you've not come back. And in that case, they'll probably send out a search party for you. So that's really important as well. So keep all those things in mind. It truly is important when climbing Munros. Don't take them lightly. Now on your journey, as you're heading up towards Mount Keing, you'll come across the Queen's Well. Now this, apparently Queen Victoria in 1861 came here and sat in this very spot. Well, not in the water I assume, but her and her husband came here on a visit, and they sat here, and I assume they had some sort of a picnic or something with them. It's a lovely wee spot, this. I'm not sure if it's a natural spring or if it's been fed by the water from the cliffside, the mountains behind me here. But yeah, Queen Victoria all those years ago sat in this area here. I don't know if she drank the water from the well, because there's lots of sheep around here and I'm assuming they'd be drinking out the water as well, so perhaps she didn't partake of a drink from the well. Lovely. So anyway, as we come out of here, we've come that away and there's people coming up behind me. We're now heading this way onto the path proper over that way. So it's that way we go. Now I was mentioning earlier about hiking poles. The hiking poles I find they're invaluable, especially when you're coming down mountains, because basically they act like another set of arms and legs to help give you balance and to take some of the strain off your muscles as you come back down the mountains. But they're also good for when you're hiking up. They just give you that extra spring in your step. And so if you can imagine you're coming down the mountain and your legs are a bit tired, and using the poles in front of you just to dig into the ground to help you step down from rocks and things like that, it really does make a big difference. I remember climbing Munros before without them, and you do it fine and everything else, but they really do help. They really do act like another pair of arms and legs, like I say. So I highly recommend you get yourself a pair of hiking poles. These are just Carrymore poles from Sports Direct. I think they were, don't know, £15, £20. They've got wee adjusters on them and stuff, so you can adjust them to the height that you want for yourself, what suits you. But I recommend a wee set of hiking poles. Just helps with the journey. Right, so the Queen's Well is just in the distance there now. As you walk up the path, you'll come to this cottage. Now that cottage is an indication or a wee landmark for you to tell you you're going to start ascending into the mountain proper. path up there leads up that way. If I remember rightly, up that way, and off to your left, and off to your right, and way up the back there. But yeah, this is where you start going up the way. But even then, this Munro, it really is not that severe. I've seen Munros like that all the way up. Some can be very unforgiving, but Mount Keing's not quite like that. I say it's a lovely hike with a bit of ascent. Well, a good bit of ascent. Obviously, you're going up a mountain, but it's not severe in the slightest. This is why I said at the very start of this video that it's perfect to dip your toes into. It's lovely, it's pathed, I think it's easy. And you know what? There's a thing where people seem to think that you can't stop. If you're out of breath and you're tired, just stop. Just sit on your butt, have something to eat, have something to drink, take in the views, get your breath back. You can stop 100 times if you need to. There's no law saying you can't do that. Just stop until you get your beans back. And that's absolutely fine. Right, we've got a wee cross in the water here. Need to find a path across this. I think I'll cross over here. Once again, just take your time. Just watch for any sugary rocks. There, and there. No bother. Couldn't have asked for a better day. It's nice and cool. It's not too hot at the moment. It is to get hot later on. But this... there's nothing better. Get outdoors and just enjoy being in nature. The sounds of the birds singing, the wind going through the valleys, and just take it in. Look at the majestic landscape forged over millions of years. And here we are about to climb up to Mount Keing and taking the views from the top. Well, let's hope we get views. I think we're going to be safe today for a view. It's not the first time I've climbed a Munro and I've gotten to the top and there's just no view whatsoever. Completely missed it out. It's just pure luck whether you get the mist or not at the top of a mountain. I mean, when I did some YouTube channel, Ben Nevis via the CMD, now that was beautiful the whole way. And I got to the top of Ben Nevis, and guess what? I couldn't see a thing. Just unlucky. But at the end of the day, the route, the path, I think it was 11 miles, or was it 13 miles, that route? It's a long one anyway. It was so beautiful, it didn't really matter to me. But yeah, good chance sometimes when you get to the top of Munro, you're not going to get a view. It's, I wouldn't say it's unlikely, but it could happen. So, but you know, it's not always about the destination, it's about the journey. So just try and keep a positive mind where that's concerned. And here's the reality. When you first start hitting the ascent, your lungs start to stretch out, but you definitely blown out your arse for a wee while. When you're not used to it, it can seem like a form of torture. There's nothing to stop yourself having a wee seat, as I said earlier, and having a break. Ooh, it's getting warm. Now, I'm the kind of person who likes to challenge himself. Everything I do in hiking is usually at pace. I give myself a good workout. Of course, the more you push yourself climbing and hiking, the fitter you'll get and the easier it will get in the future. So yeah. Good exercise hiking. Really good exercise. Ah, beautiful day. Look at that. If you look over there, see the path, that shows you how far we've come so far. That's the dogs breathing heavy, by the way, not me. In the distance there is Mount Keing. Whew, tell you what, it is warm. Having a seat for a minute. Wow, it's gotten warm. But we're up this way and off to the right. Wow, what a day. God, it's warm though. I know I keep saying that. Beautiful though. I mean, look at this view. As you start to get closer to Munro's, you start to see these markers. What's on this one? Scott James Mill. I don't know whether he is. Oh, that's such a shame. What a lovely memorial. I don't know what happened to the guy. Ah, that's such a shame. How lovely. But anyway, yeah, you'll see these markers on the way up, generally indicating the way to go. And you just probably see just over there. Oop, my finger. Mount Keing. We're past the worst of it, or the hardest part of it, and we're on our way. We're on the very last wee bit before we get to the summit of Mount Keing. Now, as you climb Munro's, sometimes you'll get what's called a false summit. You think, yeah, it's just there. And you look up there, there's a wee bit further to go than you might think there is. Just up there though, and we'll be there. It's been a climb. There she is, the Pinnacle. Come on, let's go and have a look. We've worked for this. Just remember, touch the top. You have now bagged Mount Keing. So there we are, we're back at the Queen's Well, on our way back to the car. Well, I hope you take on your first Munro, and just, if you heed some of the things I mentioned about being, you know, your precautions and letting somebody know where you are, and you take the right clothing and things with you, plenty of water and food, and understand, you know, make sure you have a map or an idea of where you're going on a Munro, you'll be absolutely fine. For the most part, you'll be absolutely fine. You should always keep in mind that many people have lost their lives on Munros and should never take them lightly. Never take a Munro lightly. But certainly Mount Keing and the Cairngorm are the first two I highly recommend to you to try. And if you're not confident to go yourself, go with somebody else, perhaps somebody else who's experienced, to show you the ropes. I think that would probably be the ideal situation. So I really hope you've enjoyed my video, and I hope you had a fantastic day, and I'll see you on the next video.